actually limited to train and expose members on various technical skills as well as professions, to incubate ideas and nurture such ideas to fruition, to build a system and develop solution, to commercialize solutions where applicable. So inshallah, I would want to advise us to, sit tight and begin this session, and it promises to be inciting. So inshallah, to open the session, I'll call on Malam Said Oyewale, if he's on the call, to kindly give us opening dua. Said, if you're there, kindly unmute your mic and give us the opening prayer. Okay, I'm not sure he's here. Okay, Brother Sadiq, if you're there. Brother Sadiq, are you there?
We thank Almighty Allah for His mercies, blessings, and favors upon each and every one of us. We beseech the blessings and mercy of Almighty Allah to be upon the noblest of mankind, Muhammad Rasulullah, his household, his companion, and the entire Muslim to the day of reckoning. We thank Almighty Allah once again, and we welcome each and every one of these webinar. We pray Almighty Allah make whatever is going to be discussed here a success, and also may Almighty Allah make whatever is here today an impact in our lives, and may Almighty Allah make it easy for each and every one of us. Amen. Let us start together. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir-Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim ghayril maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin. Amen.
Amen. May Allah accept it. Jazakumullah khairan, Malam. So onto the next item on the agenda is to call on one of our sisters to assist us in taking the citation of our guest speaker for today. And to do that is a person of Sister Alima Mustafa. If you're there, kindly unmute the mic, please.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Okay, I welcome everyone from Lasumega and all professionals to this virtual webinar. I am also honored to welcome our guest speaker to this occasion. Today's webinar is presented to us by the Professional Development Committee of the Lasumega. The topic this morning is planning for a blissful retirement, which will be discussed by our professional guest speaker in person of Kazeem Lawal, Head Project Management Office, Stanbic IBTC Pensions Managers Limited. Kazeem Lawal graduated with distinction in physics with electronics from Yaba College of Technology and studied economics in the University of Lagos, mashallah. He has a master in information technology from Ladoke Akintola University Technology. He has several professional certifications in information technology, project management, and business analysis with about 15 years of hands-on experience, mashallah. He currently works with the leading financial institutions as the head of the Project Management Office, PM. Thank you.
All right, Jazakumullah khairan, Sister Alima. Allah reward you in abundance. So so permit me to bring to the virtual lectern his humble self and our guest speaker for the day, and he's no other person than Brother Kazeem Lawal. As his profile has been read to us, we can take a cue, a motivation from his profile. He's well read and highly experienced, and I'm sure that we will enjoy this session. So let's kindly listen and then keep everything that we're doing aside. So you're welcome, sir.
إن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم.
Sorry, Kazeem Lawal, I think there's I think there's the network is a bit it's a bit glitchy from your end. Okay, I think it's trying to. I guess it's trying to join again. I think it's muted.
Okay. Yeah,
okay. Yes, we can hear you now.
You were saying something about something. I didn't quite get that.
Yeah, I think it was the network. It was the network. Okay.
Okay. Now, so now, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله ثم الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Just to be sure that you can see my screen and you can see me as well.
Yes, visible. You can see you.
Okay. Okay. Alhamdulillah. So I'm grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who has given all of us this opportunity to be here this Saturday morning. And I pray Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward the organizers for this. And I want to also appreciate them for giving me adequate time because they gave me enough time. And Alhaji Sawa was always on my case. Okay, so this morning, so that will not take too much time. I know I have very limited time. And I'm talking to the experienced people. So because when they told me I want to come and speak with the Las Omega, the big boys, the engineers, I was scared that what would I tell them? But I decided to console myself by saying that we'll just come here to remind everybody what we already know. Because I'm not sure there's anything new. I'll be telling this set of experienced people spread across the globe. So, or at least, so if there's anything you feel I did not say quite all right, please pardon my ignorance. I'm just a little boy trying to present myself to the big boys and the professors on the call. So we've been asked to discuss planning for a blissful retirement. Please, can you just give me 1 second? 1 second, please.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so sorry, to make this presentation seamless, can you give me the right to unmute myself at will? Because I've been struggling to unmute myself for the past 3 seconds. So we've been asked to discuss planning for a blissful retirement. And inshallah, I just intend to talk about 3 things. Like I said, I'm talking to the people that are more knowledgeable than myself. So I'm just going to refresh our memories. So I intend to speak about 3 things. Number 1, just to answer 3 questions, basically, the why, the what, and the how. So I intend to discuss with us why we need to take our retirement seriously. I intend to also talk to us why retirement planning is fundamental and a part of our financial literacy, as well as a part of personal development plan that we should take seriously. Secondly, I intend to talk about brief history around the pension scheme in Nigeria. I know there are so many people perhaps not based in this country, but I think I know more about Nigeria for now. So permit me to also talk about a little bit about the pension industry in Nigeria. And lastly, I tend to discuss well, do why the world and the how I'll be now to question, and then I can start getting the bombardment from the experienced guys on the call. So I start with the words. Just to reconfirm, please, can you see my screen?
Yes, please. We can see
Okay,
it.
so
Although not yet at the
right.
words, I'm not seeing the word screen yet.
So what you should be seeing right now is why are we discussing retirement? What you should be saying.
Maybe from my end, I'm not seeing that. I don't know about them. But Barry, can you confirm that?
What I'm saying is
I can see the screen. I can see the screen.
Okay.
planning for
I think-
blissful retirement.
No, so that means you're not seeing the right slide. So
It's
let me
showing the
just
highlights now. Highlights. Why?
All right,
What?
now we are now why highlights now.
Yes, I'm also seeing the highlight now.
So what you should be saying should be why are we discussing retirement? Okay. Maybe let me just check my entire screen so that to avoid all this. Please, can you go? Sorry, what can you say? I want to be sure speaking to the slide as we move on.
Yeah, you can see the one showing the highlights where you have a different section. You can see why, what, and how.
That means you're not seeing the latest slide, but let's go. I'll just continue so that we will not take too much time.
Disconnect and that can stop sharing and share again.
So that's what
Okay,
I'm
Mr. Kazeem Lawal, you can share the slide with me. I can present it for you while you make the
It's
discussion.
actually with you.
Okay, let me
is with
check.
you.
Okay, let me just present from my side there. Let me
I
check
would
for
have
the
loved to
slide.
share.
Okay. Wow, it's PDF. Anyway, I think it's the network from your side. If you can change. Or mine is PDF, so I don't know.
No, it's still the same. You'll be able to share.
Okay. Let me just share it there. Let me know if you can see my screen now.
Not yet. I cannot see your screen.
Okay. So I think I have to, let me stop sharing. I'm sharing already. Okay. Let me share. Okay. So can you see it now? Okay, so this is my screen.
Maybe it's me. Can we see Alaji Sabah's screen?
Yes, please. I can see it from here.
Okay, I think the problem generally.
But I'm
Let's
using
just continue.
PDF. So
No,
if
it's
it
fine.
is-
Doesn't matter.
Okay. Okay.
We should, okay, so we'll just continue. So we'll go to the highlight. Like I said, I'm going to be why, the what, and the how. So I think we should to slide 4. And the first one is why are we discussing retirement? Why are we discussing retirement? First, retirement for 5 reasons, and I think it's very critical that we discuss about it at this time of our lives. Number one reason why we are discussing it is enlighten ourselves on the current pension scheme in Nigeria, so that at least you understand if you have anything from the government, or if you are meant to expect anything from the government at all, how should you structure yourself and all of that. Secondly, is to also sensitize ourselves to be deliberate about our retirement plans while in active service, so that we can cover our unplanned and unforeseen expenses after active retirement or active service. All of us, we are currently working, probably you're doing business, you're doing 8 to 5, we are moving around and doing and generating income on a periodic basis. Some of us, we get our money daily, some of us will get it per hour, some of us will get it per month, and some people, they get it quarterly. All of these incomes, they come to us, and as a result, in active service. But there will be a time the real source of income will be cut off, and they will be dependent on our regular income. Our investors are no longer earning active income. So we should be deliberate about that. That's one of the reasons why we're discussing this. The third reason is for us to be able to maintain our desired lifestyle after retirement. Just to be sure, you can hear me very well, right?
Yes, we can hear you very well.
Okay, cool. So to maintain our desired lifestyle after retirement, right? So a lot of us currently, we live a particular lifestyle, and we are hoping that once we retire, we want to either maintain that lifestyle or make it better. A lot of us who do not do vacation now because we are not financially buoyant, but we want to retire well with something cool for ourselves, taking our idea or our ideas for vacation, our kids, our grandchildren coming to visit us. We want to maintain that kind of lifestyle. For us to maintain it, then it is important that we discuss our retirement now. The fourth thing is to provide financial security for us and our loved ones. Today, we have children, right? Or some of us might not have, but at some point in our lives, we want to start not only providing financial security for ourselves, we want our grandchildren to come to us, we want to be able to give them money, we want them to love grandma, and as well have financial capability to defend that. If it is that is our aim, then it is important to discuss it at this earlier stage. And lastly, is for us to also be balanced, to have a 360 perspective to our personality and ensure that we have planned our lives from cradle to grave. Throughout the journey from cradle to grave, one of the important life or milestone in our life will be when we are retired. That life, we need to plan it properly and ensure that we are planning it to. That is why the committee have decided to talk about blissful retirement, right? And just to tell us, for someone like me, I always dream about what I think I want to do when I'm retired. Most of the time, what I always say is that I want to be that kind of person that that somebody will come, like I used to joke about it. I just say I'll put it on the tip of my nose and they'll be asking you, Alaji Kilefeje, Alaji, what do you want to? And I'll tell them, Ginger, I'll be mocking and be painting the scenario of the lifestyle I intend to live when I retire. All right. And that is why it's critical for us. So all of us to start planning about that lifestyle we intend to get after work. So I think the next slide is now talking about 360-degree personality. And that's just like, I just want to show it to tell us that our lives as we move on. When you're planning your retirement, you should plan it across these 6 critical components. It is important for us to have our spirituality sorted as part of our plans. Our physical lifestyle, our medical lifestyle, we should plan it as well. Our soft skill, at that time, we should plan it. What kind of skill do I need when I'm retired, right? Our technical skills, if you need any forever, for whatever reason, right? There's some do-it-yourself, DIY that you can also learn to keep you busy and engaged when you're retired. And then digital skill is also very important. A lot of us will think that as a retired person, why do I need digital skills? At that, our children will be talking about metaverse. Our children will be telling us that your land that you have at Mowe, I want to sell it so that we can go and buy a land in the metaverse. We should be able to connect to those children, just like most of us today, our parents are not able to connect to us. They're far away from us. You explain very what you think is very basic concepts to them, they are lost. So as people preparing for retirement, ensure that you have a roadmap that you'll be able to cover yourself. But I think the purpose of this discussion is actually more for financial. So we're going to delve more into that particular aspect. So we need financial skills for us to be able to identify our needs and also plan our financials based on what we currently have, right? And then we can have a good retirement. So to me, based on what I've planned to discuss, I've discussed why we are discussing this. We're discussing this because of those 5 salient points that I've mentioned earlier. I've also told us that it's part of our 360 degrees that should do. So now we want to talk about what exactly. So we intend to answer some questions under what. The first question we want to answer under what is the pension scheme in itself. How did the pension scheme started, right? And for us to also understand basic terminologies. Number one is retirement and second one pension. We need to understand that retirement is when you withdraw from active work, either mandatory or voluntary. Once you are no longer doing active work, you're not able to, if you're a telecoms engineer, you're not able to start checking all of those different servers, log on to the optimization and all of that. You're not able to do that again. If I project manager, you're also not initiating, monitoring, controlling, and all of that. So you're no longer doing all those active work lifestyle. We withdraw for that, and that is what is called retirement. But what is pension? Pension is a fixed amount of money that is paid to people that are no longer working or no longer in active service on a periodic basis, either by government, the new employer, the formal employer, or the pension fund administrator, basically. So we need to differentiate this for academic reasons. To understand when you retirement, you're no longer working, and pension, you're getting periodic pay. So the next thing is now for us to discuss about how did we even come about this retirement plan? Because a lot of people, to be out of ignorance, sometimes they curse the government and they read them and criticize them because they feel that the current thing is not really good for us, right? But if you take ourselves through a bit of memory lane and you understand how and why government arrived at this current contributory pension scheme that we currently have, I believe that appreciate it. And we now know how to now build it to our favor, right? The first thing is, before this current scheme that we have, the government was using what they call DBS. They call it Defined Benefit Scheme. And how does this work? This is basically designed in such a way that once you are employed by the government, from the day you're very clear about, I have a defined benefit payment that I'm entitled to as a worker of the government, right? So I'm going to break it down into the public sector and the private sector. So once you come with an idea, once I spend 10 years in civil service with the government, I'm entitled to X amount of money as my gratuity and monthly basis, right? So that was what was called defined benefit scheme, meaning that the benefit entitled to be defined earlier, right? Defined earlier by maybe government or whoever is in charge, right? And as a result, government on an annual basis will do a budget allocation for payment. For paying pensions for the Nigerian Port Authority, for paying pensions for NEPA, or for paying pensions for Railway Corporation, we'll be budgeting 10 billion, 1 trillion, and all of that. And as a result of that, that money is expected to be used when each of those people are retiring. But unfortunately, those terms were not adequate, right? Inflation will affect that money. Sometimes they do investment in them, embezzlement, people embezzle this money. They were not able to implement this successfully, right? And as a result of that, government was not able to fund that scheme seamlessly. And that's why you see railways, retirees, and Nigerian ports retirees coming out with placards protesting, complaining that they've not received their money, because it was just the same way all budget allocations are managed, right? So, they will have budgeted for Lagos-Ibadan Express Road. The implementation is a problem, right? All of that were still the same problem that people were facing under that scheme, because it was strictly around budget allocation, availability of fund from the government. It will also be impacted by maybe oil price. Based on what the economic power of the government will have direct impact on this. So if they are not able to do it, they will not be able to do it. So as the government felt that the DBS could not be sustained. Secondly, in the private sector, hardly would you have a pension scheme for private sector. A lot of us today, for every company we work, we have a pension scheme, no matter how small. We're looking forward to monies. We're looking forward to those, no matter how small. Why? Because before now, there was nothing like that in private sector. There was not a lot of, except the big companies like the Chevron of this world, like the Lafarge of this world, big companies, but the regular private institutions were not preparing for it. As a result, there was no money for people. So when you retire, you're on your own. Once you retire, the only thing you get is either you get money. I think they call it, they just pay you off, and that will be the end. And then you are left to struggle, right? And also the little schemes that we had there, because of knowledge gap from the people managing it, and also a lot of malpractice as well. People squandered money. And as a result, it was very clear from either private sector or public sector, the defined benefit scheme was not sustainable. So government decided that they would launch something different. And particularly what they did was that they sent some people to Chile to go and learn how they have implemented the pension scheme. And on the next slide, basically it was clear, it was during the regime of Obasanjo where he launched what we call the pension industry today. And basically that was where all of this conversation around what we have as pension scheme today started. And this pension scheme is now called Contributory Pension Scheme, CPS. CPS was different from DBS, Defined Benefit Scheme. But this one is now called CPS, Contributory Pension Scheme. And what is the meaning of this? The meaning of this is that there's no budget allocation for this. There's no predefined amount that you'll be entitled to as a worker, either in the private sector or in the public sector, right? So government made it very clear. There is now a case of CPS. In the Yoruba parlance, they will say, whatever you have contributed is a key factor to what you will get when you are retiring. So government will no longer reserve one fund that some Rashidi Maina of this world will sit down to embezzle. Government will not now reserve any money that people will go there and embezzle. So now contribute your money and then we'll move on, right? And because of that, they enacted an act. They called it Pension Reform Act, PRA 2004. And it was approved, is a law in Nigeria. And as a result, that law generated 3 operators in the so-called pension industry, right? I hope we can all hear confirm.
We are hearing you. We are following.
Okay. And I'm not too fast. I like that.
At all. You are fine.
Okay. So
thank you.
So we're saying, so because of that law, if 3 participators were, 3 operators were generated from the PRA 2004, and they are called the PENCOM. So there's a National Pension Commission called PENCOM. That is the regulator of this industry. It's a government body that regulates anyone that would like to operate in this pension, in the contributory pension scheme industry. PENCOM will license whoever will work. PENCOM will release guidelines to guide how the operators will manage the funds. And then there's another operator called PFC. A lot of us do not know PFC. A lot of us will have an idea of PFA and we know PENCOM, but we might not know PFCs. PFCs are the people that receive the money from our employers. Or if you are self-employed, PFCs are the bank that you pay the money into, right? So that is PFC. And then you have the PFA, which I work for one of them, and the biggest of them, I say, Stabic Abilities Pension Managers, right? PFAs are the people that manages the fund. So let me now go back to now explain. Like I said, PENCOM regulate the industry. They determine and license what happened in the industry. They can suspend, they can readmit, they can do whatever. They can sanction anybody in the industry. And that's why when you have any problem with your pension scheme in Nigeria, the highest body you can escalate to is National Pension Commission, PENCOM. They are based in Abuja. And the truth is, they are highly responsive. In fact, they are highly engaging. They are with one of them that came to do audit for us and told him, I've interacted with all other regulators, but I can tell you, PENCOM is hands-on. They are into watching everybody to ensure that you're doing the right thing. If you mess around, you get sanctioned. And the sanction, you must pay, right? So that is PENCOM. PFCs are the bank. So when you pay your money, so imagine I am an employer, for instance. So let me use my employer, Stanbic IBTC, as an employer, because we also pay pensions too, right? Stanbic IBTC as an employer, right, would pay your pension into a bank called Pension Fund Custodian. What do? What they do is they own the asset. They keep the asset. Your money with them, they keep it. All the money you contribute sits with them, right? The cash, the actual cash. Your employer pays 1,000 naira for you in the month of August, sits with a PFC, Pension Fund Custodian. I'll still get to the point of this thing. I think they have about in Nigeria, right? So they keep the money. So, and then you now go to Pension Fund Administrator. Administrator administer, quote and unquote, the money. They don't have access to that money. They only trade with the money. They invest the money. They administer the money. And that's the only thing they do. They only issue instructions to PFCs to release funds. So these three people, they are three musketeers, right? Nothing can go wrong within three of them. And they are independent, absolutely independent. Sometimes you see people talking about when they see maybe a blogger posting things about people stealing pension fund. They will not say, they will call me, Kazeem, I hope they've not stolen our money. I say, it is not possible. The cash, your money does not sit with us as PF. Your money sits with PFC. So let me just paint a cycle of inflow and outflow in this scheme. So for example, Mr. Saba, your employer is paying for your pension. So don't let us, I'm still on this slide. They want to pay your pension. So they'll take the cash to a PFC to say, Saba has 1,000 naira for the month of August, right? That is what we want to pay for him. So the PFC will collect the money and notify the PFA. PFA, Saba's employer paid 1,000 naira for him. Invest this money and continue to manage it. So PFA will invest the money. They will notify Saba, we have received 1,000 naira for you. On a monthly basis, they will tell Saba, we have received 1,000. On a quarterly basis, they will tell you, this your 1,000 naira is now 1,050 naira with the return on that money, right? The PFA is responsible for giving you a mobile app, like we have in Stanbic IBTC. We have a web portal, you have a USSD that you can check your balance, you can know. So you are interacting with a PFA, right? So you can see that, but your money does not sit with that PFA. On the return of your money, the return come into your investment is also dropping with the PFC. It is only reporting management of that fund that the PFAs are responsible for. For example, PFA will go to the market and buy different instruments to invest. They cannot also pay that. They will form the PFC to pay on their behalf by telling PFC, we have bought 1,000 units of sugar, Dangote sugar today. Pay the stockbroking firm, and then they will pay. After all of this payment, in and out of the money is being approved by PENCOM. So if you want to retire, for instance, you also come back. Saba will approach us. I have 10 million naira in my account. I want to retire. Depending on the type of retirement you will apply, right? And once you are, before you are being paid, we also write letter to PENCOM. PENCOM want to pay Alhaji Saba his money. So what should we do? PENCOM will say approve, pay. That approval will be presented to a PFC to release the fund for Saba. So you can see that the three stakeholders, they work together, but they're highly independent. For any corruption to happen in this industry, PENCOM, PFC, and PFA, three of them must mutually agree to perpetrate that fraud, and it will be really difficult, right? So that's that. So we come to the next slide, which is talking about. All right, Saba. Sorry, we can move to the next slide. So the next slide is also talking about the PRA. So what are the things? So yes, so in 2014, because like I said, PENCOM is always engaging and getting feedback. They realized that there are some components of the PRA 2004 raised by Obasanjo needed to be modified. So they did another one, they took it to the House and it was approved. And that is what we currently run with. So we call it PRA 2014. Just want to mention some of the things that changed. The before now in PRA 2004, what was there was employer will contribute 7.5% of housing, transport, and basic, while employee also contribute 7.5%, basically. So, but now they change it and say employers should now pay 10%, while employees should pay 8% in the interest of the employee, meaning that employer is paying more for that employee, 2% higher. Secondly, they also reduce the minimum requirements to set up a benefit, a PFA account, or to register, to make it mandatory for an employer to open an account for their staff from 5 to 3. So if you have any company that has in 2014, it is not mandatory for you to open pension account for your staff if you have less than 5. That was before. But in PRA 2014, it is mandatory for you to open once you are 3. So if you can be yourself, your wife, and your cleaner, if you're a company, then it's mandatory that 3 of you must have a pension account. And it's actionable offense, actually. An employee, that's one of the rights, and it is backed by law. If you're a company or you work for a company that has more than 3, that has 3 or more than 3 employees, it is mandatory for you to have an account. Also, they review the penalties and sanctions for PFAs and employers not deducting or remitting contribution within 7 days of payment. So if your employer is deducting from your salary, pension contribution, it is mandatory for them to remit it for you within 7 days. Within 7 days. If they don't, they are liable to sanction by PENCOM. So a lot of us, when we leave a company, you will see people say, they deducted my money, but I don't have that money. You have right to complain to that employee, right of officials to that employee, right to PENCOM, and then copy your PFA saying that I have not received my entitlement from this company, and they will pay it. In fact, PENCOM will force them to pay it with interest, right? Also, the modality of also managing what we call temporary PIN, so we to call it TCF. No, we call it TCF, Transition Contributing. So there are some employees that will refuse to open an account. They will just open an account. The employer is mandated to pay. So how would the employer now do that? They will not pay the money like that, right? So they will not. We as PFAs will not know the owner, but at least you will have fulfilled your own right of it. So PENCOM also design that. And also they ask the PFAs to maintain what they call statutory reserve fund. This fund is basically for them to be able to defend or continue to pay retirement benefit, even if you have exhausted your contributions or what your contributions are, like some sort of insurance for your fund. And lastly, they review the law around tax on VC. Before now, there were some loopholes in taxation around VC, that is voluntary contribution. So voluntary contribution is in addition to what your employer is removing from your money or deducting from your fund, you can contribute more voluntarily. So there were some loopholes around the taxation, and then government decided to block it by releasing a new guideline. So those were the things that the PRA 2014 dealt. So I move to the next slide, which is I just want to talk to us about the current state of the industry. The industry is really big. As we speak, the industry has about 14.27 billion naira as total fund under management. So you can see that it's not small. So some of us that will exercise fear, how will I retire well and all of that? You are covered if what you have in the fund is adequate. But what is very clear is the industry is very big, right? And the industry has 14.27 across 20 PFAs, right? So that means we have 20 PFAs in Nigeria, and they are currently managing 14.27 trillion naira, and they're about 9.8 million pensioners. Or don't let me say they are not pensioners, people with active RSA accounts, either still contributing or people withdrawing from it. And just to mention, in all of this, I work for Stanbic IBTC Pension Managers. We're the biggest in no ramification in terms of service, in terms of digital, in terms of client base, AUM. They're the biggest. I know there are so many metrics. Nairametrics released several articles confirming that we are the biggest. So if you're with us, I'm not showing something. So we can also discuss that Alaji Saba after this conversation, so that anybody that's not with Stanbic IBTC, I can carry the entire Las Mega to Stanbic IBTC. All right. So another question I just want to answer is, what is the need for us? For me, we are talking about this pension industry. What is the need for me? And that's the next slide. So the first thing that is need for you is that this current scheme that we have is extremely difficult for people to commit fraud, because the three stakeholders must agree to commit fraud. So before now, it was just maybe one government parastatal.
Assalamu alaikum, Mr. Kazeem. We lost you, Alaji Kazeem. Or is it from my side? I can't hear.
No, it's not from your side. I think it's from you.
Okay, it's from him. Okay.
I'm sure it's going to rejoin. Okay.
I'm back. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm back.
All right.
Apologies.
Oh, we can understand.
I have two networks. What is it? Yes, this is the one I felt is the strongest, unfortunately, because I don't want the other one to go off. That's why I stayed there. But and I don't want to switch over so that so let's see. Hold on, please. Let me just switch to my other network. Let's see.
It's okay. All right.
Can you hear me clearly?
She can hear you clearly.
I can hear you.
Oh, cool. So apologies, everyone. So the first, what is the need for me? What do you need to appreciate this current scheme? Is number one, it is extremely difficult to commit fraud in this industry. Like I said, the three participators or three stakeholders, the PENCOM, the PFCs, and the PFA, they must all mutually agree to commit the fraud. And it's very difficult. And why is it difficult?
Okay, we can no longer hear you. But I'm trying. We can no longer hear you.
Now. Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, please.
Yes,
we can.
we can hear you now.
Sincere apologies. So I was trying to explain that the three participators must mutually agree for any corruption to happen in this industry. And it's difficult because the PFAs are privately owned. You can see that Stanbic IBTC is one, Leadway, PAR, they are individual companies that they have their own interest to protect. And they want to create sustainable wealth for themselves. Even the PFC, there are three, like I said, there are four. There's First Bank, there's Zenith, there's, I think, Diamond. I think there are four. So all of them, they are standalone companies. They won't retain their own integrity. And they are owned by companies or owners that will not want to just take one of the profits to move on, just like the way government guys will do, right? So three of them must mutually agree. So sorry, I'll switch the network eventually. I think MTN is just acting up today. Sorry. So that's the first one. The second one is around life insurance, which means that for anybody under this scheme, it is mandatory for your employer to have what we call life insurance policy in place for you. It is part of the PRA 2004. It was also maintained in PRA 2014. So so let me just use someone else. So if you work for any company that opened an RSA account for you with either Stanbic or any other company that we currently maintain, right? It is mandatory for your employer to do a life insurance for you. And what does the life insurance do? Number one, if you are not able to work for whatever is a permanent disability that you are not able to work, you are entitled to claim from that insurance. Also, for whatever reason, if there's a death, right, during active service, you're also entitled to insurance. But do you know the meaning of this insurance? It means that if I currently, on an annual basis, if I earn 10 million naira, just for the purpose of scenario, if I earn 10 million on a monthly basis, on an annual basis, if there's a permanent disability or if there's a death issue that, okay, I die and I'm not able to work again, I am entitled to ×3 of my annual package, my annual gross package as a claim. So meaning that once no longer, if someone is deceased or there's permanent disability, the person is entitled to 30 million naira as compensation for that. This is the benefit of this scheme. A lot of companies do not do this, but we should demand it. It's backed by law, right? So, and that's why sometimes I joke and tell my wife and say, see, as I'm living, I'm a poor man. No. If I die, I'm a big boy. Because that will give you have so much money, because they'll just go and ×3 whatever my annual package and give it to that person. The house that I'm not able to buy when I'm living, you'll be able to buy it. And it will be as if the wife killed the husband, because the wealth will now be so much that people they can't imagine it, that the money the guy never had. And I've seen cases like that people went to court to go and fight and all of that, because they realized that when the wife died, what the husband got as compensation was explainable. Maybe the lady was earning 20 million naira per annum, and she's still struggling to live in maybe Yanopaja and all of that. And suddenly she died. They gave the husband 60 million naira. So that's a big cash, right? So that's one of the benefits of this. The other benefit is that the industry is also very competitive. God, time is fast spent. The industry is also very competitive, and there are several competition between the parties, right? Easy access to your retirement. You have easier access to your retirement. I will explain the problem that people have today. You have easy access to your retirement because private sector is actually driving that. And lastly is creating employment for people. For someone like us, I became employed by PFA. So, and I know Stanbic has over 500 staff, if I'm not mistaken. So all of the people in this that got employed, PFC also employed people, Pencom employed people. What are the challenges? Number one is, as Muslims, there's some components of the return that's haram because it's interest-based. But good enough, Pencom released a fund called Fund 6 that is Sharia compliant. So I'll be rushing apologies. So they released a Sharia compliant fund that we can actually now invest in. So if you have not moved your fund to Fund 6, please do immediately as Muslims, because that is created for us, for a safe investment for us. Secondly is your retirement benefit is determined by what you pay or the contribution that you have made. Unlike before, Ogota, you retire well, but now it's based on what you contribute. So the scheme is tilted towards people that earn better. So when you earn better, you will retire better, right? Okay, the third thing is the identification and the documentation issues in Nigeria generally. I can be Kazeem Lawal with FRC. I can be Kazeem Olalekon L with name. So I can have different kinds of name on different identification. So for you to prove that you are the one and you are the right person, you need to provide adequate documentation. And that's why the process most of the time is cumbersome, right? So they ask you to provide. And you have seen cases, people coming to claim another person's wealth. You have seen people coming to apply for deceased benefit for somebody still living, right? So just to mention that process is one of the challenges, but I think it's the reality we have to face as a nation. Delaying remittance by employers and governments. Sometimes people do not pay our money, and there's strict regulation, meaning that PENCOM is actually very strict, providing guidelines that it's not really flexible for people to now start coming up with different products and all of that. And they are strict because it's the future of some people. So I think I've covered the challenge. So I can quickly run to, yes, the 7 ways I think you can retire well. And that is the how, right? I need to, yeah. So I'll seek permission from the next, so give me a bit of time. So number 1 is for you to retire well, or for you to have a blissful retirement. Number 1 thing you need to do is to conceptualize the kind of retirement you want. That is the beginning. Conceptualize it, visualize what you want to do while you are still active and you have money or you have resources at your disposal. You need to think, what do I want to be? What kind of retirement do I want to be? Do I want to retire in Egbeda? Do I want to retire in Lekki? Do I want to retire in London, in Canada, right? Or do I want to retire in Aja or go back to my own time? As we are all here today, for you to retire well and have a blissful retirement, you need to visualize what kind of retirement you want for yourself. A lot of us will believe that time is far, but before you know it, you are 40, 42, 45, 48. One day you just say, Daddy, you'll be 50 years tomorrow. And then you have reached the age of retirement. The official age of retirement in Nigeria is 50, right? So you need to visualize it, have a dream. In fact, like I said earlier, I act how I want to retire. Okay, I want to retire in this kind of apartment, in this kind of area. This is the kind of help that I want to have at that time. Me and my Alaja will be carrying our stick and saying, Alaja, so I always we joke, but that is the kind of lifestyle I intend to live when I'm no longer working. Right? There was one time I had like a small debate with my father. My father is a retiree. He believes that everything is just at this time, no active investment, just sit down, eat the little thing that government is giving you. I told him, no, when I'm retired, I want to go to London. Those vacations I'm not able to afford now. I want to afford it then. I want to be able to afford it then, right? So once you are able to visualize what you want for yourself, you will now be able to plan for it, which is you now need to be financially intelligent. And what does that mean? That means that you need to save. The truth is, at that time, your income, depending on the lifestyle, what kind of business you do, you don't have that active, you don't have that power, that energy, that strength for you to follow through on everything again, right? People will be managing it for you and they will be swindling you. Your income, directly or indirectly, will likely go down, except you have a more structured organization that you have built over time, right? So you need to save actively. You need to build a portfolio for yourself. And let me just speak. So when you say you build a portfolio for yourself, the meaning is that you are building a bouquet of investment instruments for yourself. So for example, today, a lot of us, you hear about fish farming, you carry your money, you give them. You hear about farming, you carry your money, you give them. They say, somebody's an importer and exporter. The person is importing anything, 1 million naira, you give them, right? You keep giving them all this money, but you are not planning a portfolio for yourself. How do you plan a portfolio for yourself? First of all, you need to assess yourself to know your level of risk appetite. And and this is not an academic definition, my own definition of risk appetite is how easy is it for me to replace my current fund? I have 1,000 naira with me. I want to measure my risk appetite. How easy is it for me to get another 1 million naira to replace this money in case this money goes? If it is the level of difficulty in replacing it is my level of appetite, right? If I'm able to replace 1,000 naira quickly, then my risk appetite is very high. I can take higher risk. If it's difficult for me to replace that 1,000 naira, then my risk appetite is low. A lot of us, our backings are our parents. You can fall back to say, Daddy, give me 1,000 naira there, and they will give you and you're fine. So you can take a higher risk. If you know you don't have someone that will give you that 1,000 naira, then your risk should be lower. So, and that means that when you now have that 1,000 naira, you want to invest with it. How much of this money can I afford to lose? That if I lose it, everyone will not fall. I will not cry like a child. So you say, okay, maybe 30, maybe 300 naira. And then you take that 300 naira to what we call risky investments, such as farming, such as fish, such as importer and exporter, right? The 70% that you have, you need to invest it in something that is safe. When I say safe, meaning that it is highly difficult for you to lose your capital, though the return might be smaller, but it is highly difficult for you to lose your capital, right? So the way you have now built your portfolio is you have built a portfolio on 70-30 structure. 30 for something that if it goes, life goes on, I'll just look away. 70, this one must not go, right? I need to play this 70 safe, right? Or 700 naira safe. So should be able to balance it. So some people can be 60-40, some people can even be 900 can go without any issue. I can manage 100 naira and I can get a replacement on time. So we need to save our money. And as we are saving, you need to build a portfolio for yourself. So you need to have in your portfolio, you need to have mutual funds. Mutual funds are a collection of different small funds that investors will take to the market and then give you return and share it with you. And please do not invest one of the financial intelligence rule, don't invest with organizations not registered by regulators, right? So just meet people, say, brother, no problem. If you are saying no problem, investment club, all of that, do with the money that is safe for you, maybe 30%, do it. The 70%, you cannot just say one advert, being 10 naira, collect 20 naira, MMM and all of that. Aside that they are haram, it is also foolishness to keep your savings, your end income, to waste it on some of those investments. So part of being intelligent with your financials is also to plan to do capital projects. Doing capital project means that you are doing project that will save you much money. Sorry, I'm checking the time. God, I'm already. Okay, so
I think you can go ahead. You can squeeze
okay.
another 10 minutes. It's fine.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. So you need to do capital project. Capital project in this case are projects that will continue to earn you money even when you are no longer working. So you need to do a lot of capital project, build houses. A lot of us today, we buy lovely cars, big cars, buy the Hummer Jeep of this world, the big Lexus of this world. They are nice things and we need to enjoy our money. But you should also think about that number one, which is visualizing how you intend to retire. If that Lexus Jeep will block your retire well strategy, please, brother, go and buy Korope, right? If Korope will even block it, go and buy bicycle. In fact, if bicycle will do it, use your leg, right? So you need to plan how you want to do capital projects that can tie in wealth in this generation and it can span through generations. So that when I'm retired, I used to have a landlord that is always traveling whenever my rent is due. Whenever you pay him his rent, he will collect it, thank you. The next 1 week, about jackpot to London. He will go to London. He will spend 3 months in London and then come back again, sit down for another 6 months. Someone will pay rent again. Baba will go again to London. So that's the kind of lifestyle he has chosen to live, right? So capital investment can give you all of that so that you will not retire and be looking for where to live. Well, that's when you were active working, you were driving big cars, you were living in big apartment, strategic area, VGC, and all of that. But once you retire, you can no longer afford even a Bulegba, right? So we need to be intelligent financially by saving more, invest wisely, and also do capital projects where we are in active service. Buy houses, right? Buy stock. They will save once anyway. Buy stock. Do a lot of investment. Islamic abilities also have Islamic ability asset management that can also provide Sharia compliant investment fund for us in that regard. So the second way for us to have a blissful retirement is to be financially intelligent. That can be another topic on its own. But we intelligent about our finances. Number 3 is that we need to be very prudent, meaning that the secret of wealth today is to live below your means. People today, Mr. Boyega, please, you are showing us a video that we should not be seeing, please. So you need to live far beyond your means, right? Live far beyond your means, right? And the meaning of that is avoid as much as possible not to live over your means. A lot of people, they earn 1 million naira, they are living at people like that earn 5 million naira. And that is the secret of wealth is if I earn 1 million naira, I live a life of 400,000 naira. Leave people, let them continue to speculate. Is it any 1 million naira? Is it 2 million? Give them that assignment to continue to speculate about what you actually earn. Live your life with what you need. The way I live my life and the way I also see one of my mentors, very respectful mentors, live his life is, what do I need? It's not what I can afford. If what I need is a bicycle, even if I can afford a Hummer Jeep, I will buy my bicycle and leave it. If what my kids need right now is to attend a modest Islamic school, it's fine. Don't go and compete and say my child must go here, must be this, must go for vacation. If they don't need it for now, please keep it away from them. What you don't need, don't spend your money on. Be prudent about it and avoid debts. Don't borrow money unnecessarily. Right? Don't just say, I want to buy this car, 2 million naira car. That's what you want to buy. You can afford, but you have 1 million. Instead of you to look for 1 million naira car, that is your level. I'll be contented with it. You go and borrow 1 million naira to buy the 2 million naira car. After driving that car 3 months, they tell you that the gear is bad, and as a result, you need to spend 2 million naira to repair the gear. You borrow another money. You keep borrowing, and then your debt profile is suddenly just bloated, and you have issues. So be prudent about the way you spend your money. Live a modest life. Number 4 is stay healthy. For you to have a blissful retirement, you need to stay healthy. Eat well. Eat balanced diet. Be active, right? A lot of us will take it for granted, particularly now that we now work from home. I don't work from home again. No. Particularly that people work from home. You see them, they take it for granted by sitting, all those sedentary lifestyle and all that. So for you to retire well, one of the ways to have a blissful retirement is for you to have a very active life. And I realized that Samsung did something, they call it, I think Samsung exercise or something, they call it together. Meaning that you can trek globally. You can join global trekking competition. And I do. At least I've joined for, I think, about 4 or 5 months now. And we've been trekking globally. I've not met the target, but I keep trekking. So it's a lifestyle we all need to just look at. Eat well. Don't say because you are a big boy, you eat pizza in the morning, in the afternoon, in the night. No, you are not planning for your retirement. For you to have a good retirement, you also need to live a healthy, because even if you have 10 billion naira in your account, if you retire and you have medical issues, all of those things will be eroded just one click, right? So staying healthy is a way to have a blissful retirement. Number 5 is also maintain good relationship with family and friends. At that time, there's nobody that will give you query in the office. There's nobody you will gist with. There's no boss that will give you stress. Nothing. You just be alone. You are the boss. You are everything. You'll be tired, right? You'll be bored, right? But if you have good friends, you have good relationships, people will check on you, people will visit you, you'll visit people will do ashwebi, or what's it called? I forgot what they use for party these days. So people invite you, you go there, you associate and enjoy your life, right? It's one of the ways to have a blissful retirement. Number 6 is also maximize your retirement savings account. I've told us about the scheme and how the scheme is critical and how it is protected. So if you're an employee, do not look away. Like I told us in Islamic BTC, we have a mobile app, we have a web portal, we have all of that. Please constantly check what you are getting. A lot of people will not know that they're having missing contributions. Sometimes your employers will skip without paying. You don't even know because you care less about it. Check your statements. Log into your mobile app, check it. Have I been paid for January? How much am I expecting? I'm expecting 100,000. They paid you 98,000. HR, what happened? I'm seeing 2,000 less. Engage them consistently. There was one time that I got higher influence to my pension. I'm working with a PFA. I called my employer. HR, what is that? They said there was a penalty that was blah, blah, blah. So, and I got the money. So you need to constantly know if your money is growing. And that's why a lot of us, we don't even know the Sharia compliant fund is not in the industry because we hardly pay attention. So let us pay attention to it. Let's keep asking, right? If you are self-employed too, this is a dangerous zone. A lot of self-employed people are not cultured about saving money for their future. They get the money, they buy the house, they buy the car, and that is the end. You can also open a micro pension for yourself where you will get that money, and then when you retire, you can get it. I used to tell sometimes people will complain that the money is small. I say, yeah, it's small. But if you're a big boy and that's truly blessed you and you have money, that money, you can even be using it to be financing the data of your grandchildren or overseas. To say on a monthly basis, I'll be sending you $1,000. I'll be sending you even $100 from my retirement. Even if you don't need it, just keep the money will come handy. And lastly, is for you to constantly make effort to establish profitable alternative sources of income, right? It is important. Don't seek to say, I'm only going to, I have an account with my PFA and that is the only thing I'm returning. It is not going to be enough, right? It's just pushing the effect of what you need at that time. So establish businesses, invest your wealth and get as much as you want in terms of return. So I'm saying here, take calculated risk when you are still actively working. And calculated risk is not, I'm not saying just go and invest in anything. Look at it. If it's something that you can try it. You can take risk. Now, and that, don't forget my definition of risk appetite. If you lose your monthly salary, you can get another salary next month. So you can gamble with that salary, right? But you can also, all of this, you can plan it and do it like that. So in my own opinion, these are the 7 ways I think if you follow them, you'll be able to have a blissful retirement. Visualize what you want to have, be financially intelligent, be prudent and live below your means, stay healthy, maintain good relationship with family and friends, maximize your retirement savings account and open one if you don't have. You can contact me directly and I will help you in doing that. And lastly, ensure that you have a backup of investment for yourself. I'm sorry that I've spent more than the time I had to me. I pray that Allah make this beneficial to each and every one of us. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakumullah khairan.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Jazakumullah khairan. I mean, I wish that you can actually continue because I'm actually enjoying you, and I'm sure that's the case for every other person too. I mean, this has been very educative and expository, and I'm sure that we'll still have to bring you back to do more justice to this topic. I mean, I'm sure people have 1 or 2 questions to ask. So please, if you have question or clarification or whatsoever, kindly drop your question in the chat box, or I mean, do make use of the reactions button here to raise your hand if you have any question. Okay. So one key thing that you talked about is that we should avoid investing in businesses that are not registered with regulators. I mean, I think that's very, very critical because we've seen cases where people put their money into so many businesses that are not regulated. I mean, they're not just putting in small money, they are putting huge amounts in such businesses. I mean, I think it's a key note for us to also to note. Yes, okay, so I'll start looking at the questions and okay. So one question here says that as young and practicing engineers, what are some capital projects we can invest our little earnings in?
I can go ahead, right?
Okay, yes, please. So I'll just take them one by one. Yes.
Okay, I think there's one before that, and that person are actually expecting it, which is
okay. I saw that. What can you say about the FD borrowing the pension fund? Yeah. I was going to take it. So
I think I'll start with that one because I know it's an interesting question,
please.
and everybody will keep asking that question. So just to make it clear, okay, maybe I should do a bit of disclaimer because I just have you're always fighting about Buhari or no Buhari. I used to be a fan of Buhari, right? And some of the issues that we're having recently, I decided, I'm still a fan of Buhari, but I decided that we should stop giving him the excuse and criticizing objectively the way we've been doing before, right? Why did I set this premise and this disclaimer? Is to say that this ulabalu or the exaggeration, escalation around the FG borrowing we are learned people, right? We should not toe that line. Government has been borrowing and there's no government of the world. Please quote me. There's no government of the world that is borrowing. There's nobody. Right? So government is borrowing and they will continue to borrow and they will continue to borrow and they will continue to borrow. And the safest form of borrowing is government borrowing because it's the economy that is backing it. It's the government themselves that are backing it, and they have, even if they embezzle that money, they'll pay the money, right? So I just want to set that context because people now say, they didn't. So government borrowing the pension fund is not a problem in any way. And I will explain. So government do not come to tell the PFSs, tell them, give me this money. That's not the way borrowing is doing. That is not how borrowing is being done. Apologies. Borrowing is done via debt management office, DMO, and they issue bonds. Even sukuk is a form of bond borrowing, right? Sukuk that we all know today is a form of borrowing. So when government borrows that money, they borrow it and provide what they call coupon, or let's say interest or return for it. If you borrow me 1 million naira, I'll give you 5% at the end of the borrowing term. And government has been paying their own part of the money, right? So it is natural that government continues to borrow it. If government is not able to borrow, if government is not able to repay the money, I can tell you, all of us will not be living again. People in Syria, so those are the places government is not able to repay. Syria, the war zone, and all that. Government is already doing, and they will continue to pay. So it is, and it's a process that is properly managed by the regulator and even professionals. So if you have that problem of, oh, government is borrowing, just think about it. Sukuk is also a form of borrowing, and if nobody is raising eyebrow on that. So government will continue to borrow, and one of the ways to borrow and also give you return as investors or as people with the owner of the fund is borrowing from, is government borrowing it and giving you return for it. Though, like I said earlier, some of them are haram, but sukuk has come to purify some of the funds investment and all of that. So as young and practicing engineers, what capital project that you can do? The simple logic for identifying capital projects, the underlying principle is anything that generates income is capital. Anything that involves maintaining, using money to maintain it is a liability, right? So if you buy a car is a liability, right? I know some of us will start going to there. Car can be capital. Yes, I agree, it can be actually. But in the general terms, if you buy car just for driving car, it's a liability because you'll be financing it and it will be depreciating. A car you buy for 1 million, except the Toyota Camry that the Toyota, the Uber cars, once you buy a car, it starts depreciating immediately. So what are the capital projects? For example, buying a house, buying a land, and all of this, you know, there are principles governing them. Where did you buy it from? What are the documentation on the property that you're buying? What is the viability of that land where you are buying it? What is the safety? All of that have to be put together. But capital projects that can easily come to my head is like buying a house, buying a land, right? Or even buying instruments like sukuk, long-term investments, bonds, all of those things, buying them, they are a form of asset. They'll tie down your money, but they'll be giving you periodic return, even across generation. So I think I will just stop if they want to take another one.
Okay, there's another question that says, what's the duration for remittances for individual or next of kin? I'm not too sure if that's I mean, that's not pretty clear. I don't know if you understand it, sir. So it says, what's the duration for remittances for individual or next of kin? I mean, it's not clear.
It's not really clear, but I'm thinking if it's for deceased payment.
Exactly.
So if it's for deceased payment, the first correction is next of kin is not for deceased payment in Nigerian pension industry. So if you have an account with a PFA and you have it next of kin, the meaning of that next of kin is who should contact when we are not able to reach you. That's the meaning of next of kin. The people that benefit from that money, they are called beneficiaries, right? And beneficiaries, your beneficiaries are only empowered by letter of administration by a court of law in Nigeria, or you get a will that is executed into the court. Court has executed and accepted that will for you. We have another subsidiary of Stanbic IBTC called the Stanbic IBTC Trustees. They issue simple will that can help you deal this. Right? And I think it's about, is it 5,500 now annually for you to maintain. So what is just to maintain that next of kin is not somebody that will get your money. Next of kin is somebody who will contact. Beneficiary are the people that will take your money. And the beneficiary is only defined through two means, either by will or by letter of administration issued by court. What is the duration? So the first thing you will know is who is the beneficiary first. It takes long time to define who a beneficiary is. A lot of families are always fighting. I'm the Yaolo Magba, is the husband, is the first child, I'm the first son. A lot of that. So you need to define how long that will take, and you provide either a will or a letter of admission. Once you provide either of these two, we will go back to the court to go and verify if these documents are valid, because people also bring fake documents too. So you can see the process of getting it, going back to validate. There's no predefined time. But once all of these documentations are sorted and it's approved by PENCOM, I can say that it takes less than 5 days for you to get paid. But the documentation is really true. Thank you.
Okay, I mean, because of time, we really we cannot take more questions, but of course, definitely, I'm sure our brother will be available to answer our questions. Please, we'd like to have your mail address so people can, send you whatever question that they need you to answer, please. I can see quite a number of questions here. So I'm sure we'll do justice to that. So Jazakumullah khairan, we really appreciate you, and I'm sure that there will be need for us to bring you back, because I'm sure people are actually very interested in this topic. So we thank you so much. May Allah continue to bless you, and grant you strength to be able to carry on in this. And so we'd like to call on the president of LASUMEGA, in person of Engineer Jawando, to give us a vote of thanks. I'm sorry, before he does start, we'd like to give an announcement for next week session, which will be taken by Dr. Abubakar Abbas, a lecturer in Petroleum and Gas Engineering, University of Southern Manchester. And the topic will be the Nigeria Decade of Gas Initiative. So I'm sure we all know that Nigeria actually did a decade of gas, and that was last year. And so gas is also becoming a major product in Nigeria, as it were. So so let's try and make it a date. So I call on Engineer Jawando to give a vote of thanks, please.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Before I go into that, I need to call, one of the reasons why we deem this topic necessary at this point is because of the experiences some of us have been having with people in the communities and our senior professionals who have retired, especially in the public sector. In the last 4 or 5 years, I've had a series of cases where people retired without any on ground.
Okay, I can barely hear the president. I don't know if it's from my end. Hello?
Hello?
Hello, yeah? Hello?
Naam, salam alaikum.
Why something long?
Naam.
I can barely, is that Engineer Jawando? I can barely, okay. Oh, I think you're speaking, but we can't hear you.
So I think we lost Jawando.
Yes,
Okay,
I
he's
think he's
back.
speaking.
He's speaking,
but
but his
we can't hear
network.
him.
Okay.
I think he's speaking, but we can't hear him. I can see his
Okay.
video.
Let me reach out to him. I'll reach out to him now. Okay, hello, Mr. Ido. You can go ahead with the session. You will log in. He has
Okay.
logged out, so he will log in again. Sorry about that.
Okay. So wait for him to
Okay.
join again. Yes. I mean, because that's
Okay,
about
so
the
while he's logging in, let me just make a brief comment on the next week session. So the next week session is about the Nigeria Decade of Gas. As we all know now that one of the main strategic focus in our oil and gas industry is the transition to the gas, right? So there will be a lot of opportunities in that space in few time to come. Big industries are regasifying their energy process. That is, they are migrating from fuel, petrol, diesel to gas. So there are a lot of opportunities that will be coming up for entrepreneurs in terms of the value chain in that particular process. So it's going to be a big one. So we want to open our minds to that space so that the entrepreneurs amidst us can also play along and translate some of those opportunities to economic benefit for themselves. So the lecturer that will be bringing on board, Engineer Obaka, is presently a lecturer at the University of Salford in United Kingdom. However, he has practiced in Nigeria, and he was one of the major key stakeholders in the OPEC during the regime of the last OPEC. Is it secretary? Is it Bakindo from Nigeria? So he's highly experienced in that space, and we are looking forward to him to come and deliver to us the lecture and the opportunities around that space. I also implore everyone to also be in attendance. So the session will come out 2 p.m. It's going to be between the hours of 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Nigerian time next week, Sunday. That's 28th of August. So before the week runs out, we are going to share this posters, the link, and what have you. So we also advise everyone to keep the eye on our platforms, likewise on our website, to get further details. Thank you. So I think Jando is back, so he can now have his Jawando. Engineer Jawando.
Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah, what sounds right. So you can go
Okay,
ahead,
I don't know what's happened then. Okay, like I was saying, we all need to start planning for our retirement at a very early age. If I were to advise, I would say immediately we start work. And in the past few years now, I've had a lot of experiences with people that are going to retire. Some of them will tell you 7 years, they still have enough time. And they ended up retiring, and one of the main challenges they're having is how to get funds to even sustain themselves or their families. And you have to start writing to Zakat organizations, friends to contribute. That is not a way to retire well. So I thank Brother Kazeem Lawal for doing justice to the topic, talking about the roles of the PFA, how you can maximize that, your investments into non-risky businesses. Even if you want to go into a bit risky business, maybe in your 20s and early 30s, you can still try that, but not like the likes of MMM. But by the time you are getting to 33, 34, 35, you need to really be very focused and start focusing on the very low risk investments. I thank you very much, sir, for making out time to come and educate us on this. And also the Professional Development Committee for making this happen. And I know we have a lot of series of other topics. So I implore each and every member that has been here today to join us for the other sessions, because all of these sessions tied together are meant to make us better professionals in what we are doing now and also preparing us for our future. I thank everybody that has made our time today to be part of this. We know we are all busy. Saturday in Nigeria is either for Owambe or for resting. So thank you very much for making our time. I pray Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept this as an act of ibadah from us. Allahumma ameen.
Jazakumullah khairan, sir. Thank you for that brief and apt one. So, I mean, also the next item on the agenda is closing dua. So I'd like to call on the Pastor Amir of MSSN Lasu Ekpe, who is also an alumni now, in person of Rasodik Idowu. Kindly come to the virtual lectern and give us a closing dua. Are you there? Rasodik Idowu, are you there? Okay, I think we can have Barry take that.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam.
MashaAllah for his mercies and blessings and his guidance over us, and for making today's session a reality and a success. To tell MashaAllah, sit from us as another bad army, and we keep us alive till next week and beyond, inshallah, so that we can witness another outstanding lecture, inshallah.
Amen. Jazakumullah khairan. Thank you everyone for joining this. Pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep us beyond next week, where we're having another session of this. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.